I married her thinking she was my true love, but now I know she was paid to trap me for revenge. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button while we get into this crazy story. I always considered myself a cautious person, someone who didn't rush into things, especially when it came to relationships. But when I met Olivia, everything changed. She seemed perfect, beautiful, kind, and with a sense of humor that matched mine in ways no one else had ever done before. We met at a work function, and it didn't take long for me to be swept off my feet. I felt like I had finally found the one, the woman I had been waiting for my whole life. Olivia was different from anyone I had ever known. She was independent, yet nurturing, ambitious, yet grounded. We connected on every level, and before long, I was introducing her to my family, my friends, and everyone I knew. My parents loved her instantly, and my friends thought she was the perfect match for me. It felt like everything was falling into place. I was ready to commit, and so was she. Our relationship moved quickly, but it didn't feel rushed. It felt right. We got engaged after a year of dating, and I thought it was the happiest moment of my life. I truly believed she was my soulmate, my partner in everything. We had plans to get married in the summer, and the excitement surrounding our upcoming wedding was all-consuming. I could not wait to start the next chapter of my life with her. But everything changed the night before our wedding. The night before the big day, Olivia was acting strange. She seemed distant, like her mind was elsewhere. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I had a nagging feeling that something was off. When I asked her about it, she assured me everything was fine. She told me she was just nervous, which I understood. Wedding jitters were normal, right? But as the night wore on, I noticed she wasn't sleeping, and when I tried to talk to her again, she brushed me off with a weak excuse. "Are you sure everything's okay?" I asked as we sat in the hotel suite we were staying in before the wedding. "You've been kind of quiet tonight." "I'm fine, honestly," she replied with a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Just a little overwhelmed. You know how it is." I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. That night, as I lay awake in bed, I heard the soft click of the door. I turned my head to see Olivia standing in the doorway, looking at me, her eyes full of something I couldn't quite read. She seemed so distant, like she was physically there but emotionally miles away. I opened my mouth to say something, but she raised her hand, signaling me to stay quiet. She walked into the room, sitting on the edge of the bed, but didn't say anything for a long time. "Olivia," I said softly, my heart racing. "What's going on? You're scaring me." She didn't look at me right away. Instead, she stared down at her hands, her fingers twisting nervously. Then, she took a deep breath, almost as if she was gathering the courage to say something that had been weighing on her for a long time. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice trembling. My stomach dropped. "What is it? You're scaring me." "Whatever it is, we can work through it." Olivia's eyes finally met mine, and for a moment, I saw something flicker, something dark that I hadn't noticed before. It was like a veil had been lifted, and I was seeing the real Olivia for the first time. She looked at me, her lips trembling as she tried to speak. "I wasn't honest with you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The truth is, I didn't fall in love with you the way you think I did." My heart skipped a beat. "What? What do you mean?" "I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you," she continued, her eyes filled with an expression I couldn't place. "Guilt, regret, fear. I was paid to get close to you, to marry you." The words hit me like a slap in the face. I couldn't understand what she was saying. "Paid? What are you talking about?" "Olivia, you're scaring me. I was hired by someone to get close to you," she said, her voice shaking now. "I was paid to make you fall in love with me so that they could ruin your life." My mind was racing. "Who hired you? Why would someone do this? Why would you do this?" "Because I didn't have a choice," she said, her eyes filling with tears. "At first, I thought it was just about the money. But the longer I spent with you, the harder it got to keep up the lie. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted to fall for you, but I did. I didn't expect it to get so complicated." I couldn't speak. The words, the implications, were too much to process. My mind was spinning, and I was struggling to make sense of what she had just revealed. "Who hired you, Olivia?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Her eyes darted around the room, avoiding mine. "I can't tell you that. I'm sorry, but I can't. All I can say is that this wasn't about us. It was always about revenge. They wanted to destroy your family. They wanted to make sure you lost everything. I was just the pawn they used to get to you." The air in the room felt thick, suffocating. I sat there, frozen, unable to process what she had just told me. Everything I had believed about our relationship, about her, felt like a lie. She had been using me all along, and I had fallen for it. "You lied to me," I finally whispered, the pain in my chest like a physical wound. "You lied to me from the beginning." "I'm sorry," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I never wanted this. I never wanted to hurt you, but now it's too late. You need to know the truth before it's too late." Before what? Before everything came crashing down. I couldn't think straight. I felt like I was drowning in this sea of deception. I stood up, my legs weak beneath me. I don't know what to do with this, Olivia. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, she replied softly, almost pleading. I'm just telling you because you deserve the truth. You deserve to know what I've been hiding. I'm so sorry. I turned away from her, feeling the walls closing in around me. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't the life I had imagined. Everything I had planned, everything I had trusted, was crumbling in front of me. The woman I thought I was going to marry was nothing more than a stranger. And someone I didn't even know, was out there pulling the strings, orchestrating this entire nightmare. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let them win. Whoever was behind this, whoever had paid Olivia to trap me, wasn't going to get away with it. Not without a fight. After Olivia's confession, I spent the rest of the night in a haze, pacing the hotel room, unable to comprehend what had just happened. It felt like a cruel joke, like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I had just spent the last year planning a life with the woman I thought was my soulmate, only to find out she had been using me as a pawn in someone else's revenge plot. The silence in the room was deafening. Olivia sat on the edge of the bed, her face streaked with tears, but I couldn't bring myself to console her. How could I? She had betrayed me in the worst way possible, and there was nothing that could fix it now. Who hired you, Olivia? I finally asked, my voice steady but filled with a coldness I hadn't known I was capable of. I needed to know. I had to understand the motive behind this insanity. Who would want to destroy my life so badly that they'd go this far? I can't tell you, she replied quietly, her eyes pleading. They've threatened me. I'm not supposed to say anything, or I'll be in danger. I clenched my fists, trying to keep my anger in check. Danger? You put me in danger. You lied to me, manipulated me, and for what? To get back at someone you barely know? Someone who's clearly been pulling the strings from the shadows. I never meant for it to go this far. Olivia sobbed, her hands wringing in her lap. I didn't expect to fall for you. But by the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. I was in too deep. I couldn't back out. Who the hell was it, Olivia? I demanded. Who's been using you? Who's been pulling these strings? She shook her head, her eyes downcast. I can't say. It's not just about us anymore. It's bigger than you and me. You don't understand. I stood up, feeling the weight of her words sinking in. No, I don't understand. None of this makes sense. You've been lying to me this entire time. I don't even know who you are anymore. I paced around the room, my mind racing. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that everything about Olivia had been part of a carefully orchestrated plan. She had played the perfect role in my life, sweet, caring, and perfect for me in every way. But the mask had slipped, and the ugly truth had been exposed. I turned back to her, my voice cold. You need to tell me everything, Olivia. I don't care about the threats anymore. You owe me that much. Olivia hesitated, her face torn with guilt. I can't betray them. They've made it clear what will happen if I talk. I saw the fear in her eyes. She was scared, but I couldn't afford to feel sorry for her anymore. Tell me, or I'll make you tell me, I said, my tone hard. This isn't about you anymore. This is about me, about my life, and the people who have been trying to destroy it. I need to know who did this. If you're not going to help me, then we're done here. Olivia looked up at me, the tears still fresh on her cheeks. Slowly, she nodded. It's my brother, she whispered, barely audible. His name is Dylan. He wanted revenge on your family for what happened years ago. The mention of Dylan's name made my blood run cold. Dylan had always been a shadowy figure in my life, someone I had heard about, but never truly knew. He was Olivia's older brother, but I had never met him. I knew he had a history with my family, but I didn't realize how deep it went. What had my family done to him? And why was Olivia so involved in his scheme? Revenge? What are you talking about? I asked, my voice rising. What did my family do to him? Why does he want to destroy me? Olivia wiped her eyes, still trembling. It's about your father, she said, her voice quivering. Your father? He was responsible for sending Dylan to prison years ago. Dylan was involved in a business deal that went wrong, and your father was the one who made sure he got the harshest sentence. Dylan's been out of prison for years now, and he's been planning this ever since. He knew he could use me to get to you, to ruin your life. He told me to get close to you, to make you fall in love with me, and then marry you. All of this was part of his plan to get back at your family. I was stunned. I couldn't breathe. My father, I whispered. What are you talking about? I never knew about any of this. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you just walk away when you realized what he was doing? I didn't have a choice, she shouted, standing up now. I was already in too deep. Dylan was controlling everything. He threatened me, said if I didn't go through with it, he would hurt my family. I didn't know what else to do. I thought I could find a way to make things right, but now everything is ruined. I never meant for you to get hurt, I swear. I took a step back, the weight of her words crashing over me. The woman I had married, the woman I had given my heart to, had been nothing but a pawn in someone else's game. And I had been the one to fall into the trap. So what now? I asked, the words bitter in my mouth. What happens to me now, Olivia? Do I just keep playing along, while Dylan destroys my family from the inside? She shook her head frantically, her voice pleading. No, no, please don't think that. You have to understand, I never wanted this. I never wanted to hurt you. Please, believe me. I was just trying to protect myself. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. Everything I had built, everything I had trusted, had been a lie. My heart was shattered, my mind racing with everything Olivia had just confessed. And yet, there was still one question lingering in the back of my mind. Why now? I couldn't stay in the room any longer. I needed answers, and I needed to make a choice. I had to find out everything. I couldn't go on living this lie. But what was I supposed to do now? Who could I trust? The love of my life had been a lie. Olivia was just another player in a much larger game, a game that was meant to destroy me. And as much as I wanted to run away from it all, I knew I couldn't. There was too much at stake. I turned to Olivia one last time. I'm going to find out the truth. And I'm going to make sure Dylan pays for what he's done to my family. And to me. Olivia's face twisted in guilt and fear. I'm so sorry, she whispered, but it was too late for apologies. The damage was done. In part 2. In part 2, the truth behind Olivia's betrayal begins to unravel as she reveals that her brother, Dylan, has been orchestrating the entire plot to destroy the protagonist's life. Olivia admits to being used as a pawn in his revenge scheme, but her confession leaves the protagonist feeling more betrayed than ever. The emotional weight of the situation deepens, and the protagonist now faces the difficult decision of how to confront this enemy and reclaim his life. The weight of Olivia's confession still hung heavily in the air, thick and suffocating. Every word she had said echoed in my head, each one a sharp reminder of how deeply I had been deceived. Dylan, the man I had never really known, was the one behind everything, pulling the strings, orchestrating the trap I had fallen into. Olivia, the woman I had loved and trusted, had been a willing participant in a scheme that was bigger than both of us. I paced the room, my mind racing. I needed to understand more about Dylan. I needed to know how far back this vendetta went and why my family had been involved in it at all. How had I not known any of this? How had my father allowed a grudge to fester so deeply that it resulted in my life being shattered? Olivia stood in the corner, quietly watching me, her eyes full of regret. But regret wasn't enough anymore. She had betrayed me in a way that could never be undone. I needed answers. I needed to confront Dylan, and I needed to do it soon. You're telling me everything now, Olivia, I said, my voice colder than I intended, but I didn't care. But it doesn't change anything. I need to know more. I need to know why this is happening and why Dylan is doing this. I don't know all the details, she whispered, wringing her hands in front of her. I swear I don't. But Dylan, he's obsessed with revenge. It started with my father. My family and your family have history, Rachel, and it's not a good one. I stopped pacing and turned to look at her, my heart pounding. What history? What did my father do? I don't know exactly, Olivia said, her voice shaking. But I know that my father, before he passed away, was involved in something with your father. A business deal gone wrong, I think. It was more than just a financial dispute. My father was a part of some shady dealings with your father. Things that were kept quiet, things that no one wanted to talk about. And when my father went down for it, your father walked away clean. I felt a cold rush of fear and anger flood my chest. My father, he was involved in something like that? Why didn't I know? I don't know, Olivia said, her voice soft. But Dylan knew. He knew everything. And he's been living with that bitterness ever since. He was just a kid when it happened, but he grew up hating your father, and he vowed to make him pay for what happened to their family. I stood frozen, processing the new information. This was much bigger than just Olivia and me. This was about a decades-old grudge, a vendetta that had been brewing for years. I had been used, manipulated, and caught in the middle of a war I didn't even know existed. You should have told me this earlier, I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and disbelief. You should have told me about Dylan's plans. You should have told me before we got married. I know, Olivia whispered. But by then, I was too far in. I didn't know how to get out of it. I thought I could protect you, but I didn't realize how dangerous Dylan was. I'm so sorry. I wish I could undo all of it, but I can't. I could feel my rage building. The pain of betrayal had shifted into something darker, something that felt like it would consume me. But there was no time for anger. I had to take action. I couldn't let Dylan win. He had already destroyed everything I cared about. He had taken the woman I loved and twisted her into a tool for his revenge. I'm going after him, I said, my voice firm. I'm going to find Dylan, and I'm going to make sure this ends. I'm going to protect my family, my future, and everything that's mine. And I'm going to make sure you're not a part of this anymore, Olivia. Olivia's face paled. You can't do this alone, Rachel. He's dangerous. He's already shown how far he'll go. I don't care anymore, I said, my anger seeping through. I've already lost everything. The only thing left is making sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. The next few days were a blur of planning and digging for information. I hired a private investigator to track down Dylan's whereabouts. I was done waiting. I needed to confront him. But the more I learned about him, the more I realized how deep the web of lies and deceit ran. Dylan had gone underground after the first rumors of his involvement in my family's issues started to surface. He had made sure that no one could track him down easily. But with the help of the PI, we discovered that he was living in a secluded cabin outside of town, hiding in plain sight. It seemed that he had been waiting for the right moment to strike, and now it was clear that he had chosen me as his target. I stood in front of Olivia, who was packing her things to leave. She knew this was over. She knew she had no place in my life anymore, and despite the guilt that weighed on her, she knew that she couldn't undo what had already been done. I'm going to see him, I said, looking her in the eyes. And this time, it's over. No more lies. No more manipulation. I'm ending this. Rachel, please be careful, she pleaded, her voice desperate. Dylan won't just let you walk away. He's not the man you think he is. He's dangerous. I'll be fine, I said, though a part of me wasn't sure if that was true. But there was no going back now. I couldn't let Dylan control my life any longer. I couldn't let him ruin everything I had worked so hard for. I walked out of the house with a feeling of finality. The life I thought I was building had been built on a lie, and now I had to tear it all down and rebuild. The road ahead was uncertain, but I had no choice. I had to face Dylan and put an end to the pain, the deception, and the lies. The cabin was remote, just as the investigator had said. As I pulled up to the rundown property, I felt the weight of the moment. I didn't know if Dylan would be there, or if I was walking into a trap, but I couldn't let fear stop me now. I was here for answers, and I wasn't leaving without them. I knocked on the door, my heart pounding in my chest. There was a long silence before I heard the sound of footsteps approaching. Then the door creaked open, and there he was, Dylan, the man I had never truly known, standing in front of me, his eyes cold and calculating. Well, he said, his lips curling into a half-smile. I wondered how long it would take you to figure things out. I stood there in front of Dylan, my fists clenched at my sides. He looked almost amused by my presence, like he had been expecting this moment for a long time. The cabin was dimly lit, the smell of wood and dust filling the air. There was an eerie quiet around us, as if the whole world had held its breath for this moment. You don't look surprised, I said, my voice steady, though my heart was racing. I wasn't, Dylan replied coolly, leaning against the doorframe. I knew you'd come eventually. You're not the kind of guy who lets things slide. Too bad it's already too late for you. What do you want from me, Dylan? I asked, my voice growing colder. Why all of this? Why the lies, the manipulation, the revenge? What's it all been for? Dylan smirked, pushing off from the doorframe and walking towards me slowly. What's it been for? You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about you, really. It's about your family. You and your father, everything that's wrong with him. The power, the control, the lies. Your father destroyed my family, Rachel, and I've been biding my time, waiting for the perfect moment to make him feel the same pain he made us feel. I took a step back, my mind reeling from his words. My father didn't destroy your family, Dylan. You're blaming him for something that happened years ago. You've ruined my life over a grudge I had no part in. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about your obsession, and it's going too far. Dylan's smile faltered for a moment, and then his eyes grew colder. You think this is just about revenge? You really don't understand, do you? It's about justice. My family was torn apart, and I'll be damned if I let your family continue to walk around like nothing ever happened. I'm doing what needs to be done. I've been planning this for years, and I'm not going to stop now. I shook my head, anger flooding through me. You're insane. You've used Olivia, you've used me, and now you're going to destroy everything else I have just to satisfy your own twisted sense of justice. Dylan let out a low laugh, stepping closer to me. Twisted? You call it twisted? You don't even know what it's like to lose everything, to be thrown into the gutter by someone who has all the power and control. You've never been in my position. You've never had to fight for anything. You're just another privileged little rich kid who doesn't even know the cost of what your father's actions have done to people like me. His words cut deep, but I pushed the emotion aside. I couldn't let him get to me now. I had to stay focused. You think destroying me is going to make you feel better? You think hurting me is going to make up for what happened years ago? It's not going to bring your family back, Dylan. It's not going to change anything. Maybe not, Dylan said, his voice now quieter, more dangerous. but it's going to make sure your family suffers the way mine did. And it'll make me feel better. That's enough. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was madness. Dylan wasn't just trying to hurt my family. He was trying to erase everything I had ever worked for, everything I had ever believed in. And Olivia, the woman I had loved, had been a part of it all. Olivia didn't want to hurt me, Dylan, I said, my voice shaking slightly. She never wanted any of this. You used her, you controlled her, and you got her involved in something that was never hers to begin with. She tried to warn me. She tried to stop you. But she was too afraid of you. Dylan's eyes narrowed. Olivia was weak. She thought she could play both sides, thought she could save you and keep her place in my plan. But she was always a pawn. And now, she's nothing but collateral damage. That hit me like a punch to the gut. Olivia was collateral damage. To Dylan, she was just another tool to get to me, another means to an end. And she had fallen into his trap because she was too scared to walk away. I thought she loved me. But in the end, she had only been another victim of Dylan's cruelty. Why didn't you just leave us alone? I asked, my voice quieter now, as if the fight had drained all the energy out of me. Why go this far? You've taken everything from me, Dylan. Everything I cared about. You've ruined my life. Dylan stepped forward, his expression shifting. There was no more amusement in his eyes. Now it was all cold calculation. I didn't want to ruin your life. I wanted to destroy everything your family built. And that includes you. Your name, your reputation, your future, all of it's mine now. I took a step back, heart pounding. I could feel the pressure of the situation mounting. This wasn't just about Dylan anymore. It was about me, my family, and everything I had worked for. He had taken my life and twisted it into something unrecognizable. You don't have control over me, I said, my voice shaking but defiant. You don't control anything anymore. You've tried to ruin my family, but I won't let you take anything else from me. This ends now. For a moment, Dylan was silent. His eyes burned with anger, but there was something else there, something that almost looked like regret. But it was gone as quickly as it had appeared. He straightened up, taking a step back. You think it's over? Dylan's voice was low, dangerous. You don't get to decide that. You think you can walk away from this? Think again. I'll make sure you regret it. I stood tall, my heart pounding in my chest, but I wasn't afraid anymore. It's over, Dylan. It ends with me. I turned and walked out of the cabin, the door slamming shut behind me. As I stepped into the cold air, I knew that I had taken the first step in reclaiming my life. But the road ahead was far from over. Dylan wouldn't just let go. He had made that clear. But I wouldn't stop fighting either. It was time to end this once and for all.